2019, it was the year that the Cardinals decided to move on from Josh Rosen, the quarterback they just drafted a year before, to go with Kyler Murray. I don't necessarily think it was the wrong move, but in this, we're going to go back, take a look at the 2019 draft, and in hindsight, how would I pick for these teams? I'm only doing the draft day order, so no in-draft trades with this. This is the order going into the draft. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you enjoy the content. It's always much appreciated, much obliged. And I'll get to other ways you can check me out, because something of a piece, what can I say? But 2019 draft, man, this one was pretty tough, because I mean, these guys are technically in their second season for the most part. So I mean, the jury's not out on all of them, but yes, there are some definite changes to this draft, and we're just gonna go ahead and get right into things. Yes, here we are. We got the Cardinals, and they took Kyler Murray. I'm gonna go with Trace McSorley, because you too, your memes can be dreams. Nah, not really. It's Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray was the right move. It was a good call to move on from Josh Rosen, unfortunately. And I mean, his career would just go into nothingness. You know, you go to the Dolphins for a second rounder and not do much there. Now he's just kind of venturing on people's practice squads, I think, at this point. But the combination of Cliff Kingsbury and Murray has been very, very scary. I mean, since being drafted, Murray's scored 53 touchdowns. That's not going into the Sunday game right now. I'm actually recording this on Sunday while the Cardinals face the Rams. But, man, it's been solid, so I don't see why do anything different. The same's actually going to go with the 49ers, man, because they got the best defensive player in the draft, in my opinion. Nick Bosa, I know he showed huge potential in his first season. Unfortunately, he went down early to injury in 2020, but I think when it's all said and done, he will be the sack leader in this class. I mean, there's one other guy that I think might have a shot at it, but as of now, man, I think Bosa was the right pick, and this is where things get interesting. We have the Jets. They want Quentin Williams, and he's really shined in year two, but that doesn't help Sam Darnold. So we could went a few different avenues here. We could have went with tackle, maybe Jonah Williams. But I was like, you know what? The top of this receiving class is pretty amazing. And I'm going to go with A.J. Brown. I love A.J. Brown. I loved going into him going into the draft. He was my number one receiver at one time going into this class. The guy's just phenomenal. I mean, pairing him up with Robbie Anderson, who is still on the roster there. And I believe they still have Jamison Crowder there in the slot. I could be wrong about that, but I mean, just get your franchise quarterback some help before you replace him with Trevor Lawrence. I think this is a great pick. Honestly, there's 3 receivers in here. I have no qualms about picking in the top 10. On to the Oakland Raiders. I think they were still at Oakland in this time, but they went with Clelin Ferrell, who's not really paid dividends. It was a bit of a reach on draft day, and it even seems more apparent now. But I think we stick. I mean, I think we stick with pass rusher. I mean, they wanted a pass rusher, so let's get him a pass rusher. So the next guy on the board here I have is actually Brian Burns. Man, he's been phenomenal since entering the league. The dude showed incredible athletic upside at the combine. A lot of people were just like, okay, will he kind of just develop pass rush tools and such? And I think he has. The dude has 46 pressures and 7 sacks through 12 games in 2020. So, hey, if they wanted to go pass rusher, I think Brian Burns was it here. So now at Tampa Bay, and I know a lot of people love Devin White, and I love the athletic upside of Devin White. It's just, it has yet to pan out. I mean, the guy in coverage has been pretty rough. It's been rough. He's, in 2020, he's allowed 65 receptions for 929 yards. That's pretty abysmal. So, I mean, again, I still believe in the athletic ability, but let's get a player that's a bit more secure here. And I'm going to go with actually Quentin Williams. He's really shined here in year 2, and he's really proved he could be one of the better interior pass rushers from this class, and I think he provides an immediate replacement over William Golston, as well as a long-term replacement over Ndamukong Suh. So on to the Giants pick, and this one's hard, man, because Eli is still in New York, and he needs to be replaced. But the quarterback class thus far, I mean, Haskins, he's already lost his starting job. Drew Lock, jury's still out. Will Grier, is he still in the league? I think he's still with the Panthers. And Ryan Finley ain't doing nothing for the Bengals. That's why they took Joe Burrow. I mean, there is a Gardner Minshew, an Uncle Rico. Tempting, but I don't think he'll make the cut here. So I think they do need to go in quarterback direction. And Danny Dimes himself has been the second best quarterback in this class thus far. And he has shown, like, recently, he's put up some solid play. I mean, he has the Giants in contention for the NFC East. I mean, take that with a grain of salt, right? But, I mean, I really don't see any other way you can go than try to move on from Eli. So I'm willing to take the shot with Danny Dimes here. And then the Jaguars, man. Josh Allen was a really good pick here. But that doesn't really help the offense because, I mean, this defense was already pretty studded out. So I think they just invested in Nick Foles. So I would say try to replicate some of the things that made him successful in Philly. And he had a really good connection with Alshon Jeffrey, really good chemistry. So let's try to get him this big receiver, big contested catch target downfield. Well, we'll do you one better, man, because this guy's got some burners. DK Metcalf is utterly insane. It's wild to think he went at the end of the second round. But I think, yeah, I'm not saying this gives Nick Foles a chance, but oh man, I don't know, man. At the very least, you get a very, very good wideout. One who's having probably one of the. He's having a great year. He's having a top 5 year, in my opinion. And then the Detroit Lions, they went with who did they go with here? Is this the they went with TJ Hawkinson. I'm not gonna go that route. I mean, there's still great talent on the board. And the theme that Patricia's never been really successful at is obviously cost him his job, implementing his defense, man. And he could never find a pass rusher. So we're just going to go ahead and do that, solve that problem right now. We're going to grab him, Josh Allen, who's been very good for the Jaguars. I mean, the Jaguars, they don't blitz much there. So he's doing it all by himself. But yeah, man, just go ahead. Let's grab the pass rusher. You're welcome. On to the Buffalo Bills. And this one was a bit tough. You could go Jonah Williams to help the line because, I mean, I think they go Cody Ford in this draft, right? Yeah, who ended up just not being able to play the right tackle position. You could go TJ Hawkinson, but let's go ahead. Let's just grab my next receiver on the board because I said he was a top 10 guy. And we're going to grab, where are you at? Terry McLaurin. See, with this pick, you don't have to spend all those 2020 draft picks on Stephon Diggs. You get Terry McLaurin, and I think Josh Allen would much appreciate Terry McLaurin. It's just a great pick, in my opinion. Denver Broncos, so the defensive front for the Broncos at the time, it wasn't by any means weak, but for me, this was a really good value pick. So I ended up going with the guy that I was actually pretty high on, Jeffrey Simmons. In this draft, he's probably been one of the best interior players since really getting his chance to start late in 2019. Was it 2019? Yeah, it was 2019. And I'm just saying, man, I know it's by no means the Broncos. You'd like to get a quarterback, that ain't happening. Or you could say tight end here if you want, but I don't think there's one worth it in the top 10 right now. So Jeffrey Simmons is a great value pick. You could say linebacker. I don't know. Jeffrey Simmons right now is the best defensive player on my board. So I went with him. On to the Cincinnati Bengals. We're just going to do what they did. Jonah Williams, they needed to build. This offensive line was not even on its last legs, dude. It was out the door. They were right to address the offensive line, and Williams was easily the best tackle in this class. This next pick for the Packers is going to be a bit contentious with some people, but it's my mock draft, so screw what you think. Not screw what you think, but I don't care what you have to say about this. I ended up going with wideout. They've been begging to get some guy next to Devontae Adams. So you might be like, who then? Who? A guy that I really liked in this class was Deontay Johnson. I actually predicted he would go in the third round of the Steelers because he reminded me, there were parts of his game that was Antonio Brown-esque. He's just an after-the-catch machine, dude. He would pair very well. He's not on the level of McLaurin or Brown or Metcalf, but the dude's right there. He's a very good receiver in himself. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to grab a receiver here for them. On to the Miami Dolphins, and this is Brian Flores' first pick. His first pick. He just became coach. What to do? I think what he ended up doing, they went a real safe alternative with Christian Wilkins. Spoiler, he's not going to make it in the first round here because, I mean, he was an older player. I think he was like 24 when he was drafted. So it was like kind of like you kind of see what you're getting. There's not much upside coming with him. So if you're a coach with your first pick, you want to grab guys at positions of value. And I don't think there's a position more valuable on the defense than cornerback. Cornerback is probably the most volatile position in all of football. It's so hard to get right, especially in a pass-happy league. You really do want to get that position right. So I'm going to go with the corner position, and we're going to go with Jameel Dean. The guy was a physical, athletic freak coming out of the combine. It was just a lot of the production. There was no real production to be had there at Auburn. You know, it was a bit so-so. But since coming in, man, since becoming a starter, I think it was like halfway through 2019, he has been phenomenal, man. He's one of the best up and coming corners, in my opinion. And man, I'm just a huge fan. And you addressed a position where they were weak at, so weak that they went out and grabbed Byron Jones from Dallas. Now the Atlanta Falcons. This whole class is known for they drafted offensive line in the first round. They grabbed, what was it? Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry or something, right? Yeah, McGarry. Well, I don't think that's wrong. To address the offensive line, let's try to address the defense, man, because Grady Jarrett, man's been looking for a running mate, someone that would burst through the gaps with him, and he hasn't had that. So Ed Oliver's still on the board, man. He's a guy, he's still developing, a bit undersized, man, but gosh, dude, he flashes ton of potential, and I think putting him next to Grady Jarrett would be terrifying. On to the Washington football team. They weren't called that at the time, but we're calling them that now. No quarterback to go here. We're not going to go. I mean, we could go with Gardner Minshew, but I don't think that people want that. I don't think that's what the people are crying for. So let's try to use this to address real need. Because if we're going to go with guys like, what was it? Colt McCoy and was it Case Keenum? Yeah, it was Case Keenum. They really had no offensive weapons to work with. I mean, they had Terry McLaurin, but outside of that, it was close to nothing. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go receiver, and I'm gonna grab Deebo Samuel. The guy's been an after the catch machine through 23 games. He's had 912 yards after contact, 31 broken tackles. I think that would really help out these guys. Because typically you're going to be playing a safer brand of football when you have backups in. So I think he would really help. Well, for now, he would be a nice Band-Aid on this wound. And then we have the Carolina Panthers, and I know everyone loves me going tight end for the Panthers, especially in the 2020 or my 2021 NFL mock draft. And it's so good there. I'm going to do it again. I mean, TJ Hawkinson's solid, man. He's a good pick. I mean, this would be Greg Olson's last season with the Panthers in 2019. Ian Thomas, he never really pans out. Like, he never develops. So let's grab Hawkinson, dude. He's been very good in year 2. He's one of the better blocking tight ends in all of the league. The receiving is coming up. I mean, I think it's solid here. Just grabbing some weapons. But before we get into the rest of our draft, you should go check out the Flick chat app, Flick Sports, man. It's awesome. It's basically football Discord. I'm there at the Never Too Early draft group. We're just talking prospects. We're talking college football, NFL, stuff like that. So go on, join. The link is in the description below. Also, tonight I'll be streaming on, will I be? Yes, I will. Am I going to put this up? Tonight or tomorrow? Thursday, whatever Thursday is, I'll be at twitch.tv/Broshmo Gaming. We'll be playing during some Thursday night football. So if you want to come hang out, feel free to come hang out. But let's get back to this draft. All right. We got the New York Giants. They're back on the clock again, man. And we just grabbed a quarterback. I would love to grab a receiver, maybe a tackle. Shoot, even a corner here, but there's no guys I think worth it at this point in the draft. So we're going to go with a linebacker. We're going to go with Devin Bush, man. Let's grab a quarterback for the defense. He's been very solid, and he would really solve that hole in the middle the Giants have had in at linebacker. The Minnesota Vikings. Oh, man, grab Bradbury, man. Dude's just been awful. So we're going to keep this pick center, but we're going to instead go with Eric McCoy, man. He has been solid, dude. And I mean, honestly, let's just if you saw any of the Packers Saints game earlier this year, you probably saw this where he basically chased down Alvin Kamara to lay out a block for him, dude. That's just an offensive lineman after my own heart, man. I love that. I love those hustle plays. Tennessee Titans, man. So we're coming into the I mean looking at this, right? Looking at the Titans and what they need, because I mean at this point they got Landry, man, but they could still use more pass rush, right? So I think Montez Sweat is actually good value coming into the draft. The cat had some concerns because of his heart condition, as well as limited pass rush tools, pass rush moves. He really just had a swim move. It was pretty swim move, but it was all he had. But since being drafted by the Washington football team, dude, he has kind of flashed in, like, especially 2019, dude. It was a small sample size, but it looked good. I think he ended up with like 6 sacks. Well, this season they've given him a bigger role, and he's done extremely well. Only Burns has a better pass rush win rate from this season from this class. So I think Sweat's a solid move here. On to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and dude, they were desperate to upgrade a linebacker, so much so they traded up in this draft. So we're gonna keep with that, and I'm gonna go. I think we're gonna have to look for this guy for a hot minute. Where are you? We're gonna go Dre Greenlaw, dude. This guy, his production's been actually on par with Devin Bush. And I mean, dude, this guy, Greenlaw's coverage ability, his coverage skills would be much appreciated for the Steelers. On to the Seattle Seahawks, and they're still in the midst of rebuilding their secondary. So I thought it would be smart to go. I mean, there's some corners here, but I'm just going to stay away from the corner position for now. There's some really good safeties, though. And Darnell Savage has been an absolute monster, dude. He has 4 interceptions and 6 pass breakups, while only allowing a completion rate of 57.5%. I think he would be very welcomed there in Seattle. And then the Baltimore Ravens, man, this one was tough, man, trying to figure out. They really did need a receiver. And I think I'm really just going to stick with Marquise Brown. And you'd be like, well, he hasn't done a lot. I mean, they haven't really given him opportunities to do so. They haven't really tried to put the ball in his hands. I mean, he was used marginally through 2019. And then even this year, man, he's been missed on a ton of deep balls, dude. Like, he only has 5 receptions on 20 targets on throws of 20 yards or more, and a lot of them are just missed passes. So the guy is a weapon, dude. He is a threat, especially if you saw the Baltimore Steelers game this past week. The guy is really good, and he's a threat that any team would have. He's a threat you gotta take account of when he is on the field. He's kind of like Henry Ruggs. I kind of spoke about Henry Ruggs the same way when I was making the Raiders pick for my 2022 redraft. So they just need to figure out how to get the ball to him more. Now, the Texans, they just struggle with cornerbacks consistency. They need some help in the secondary. And I really think there's only one other guy that I'm willing to spend a first rounder on when it comes to this corner class, and it's going to be Rocky Sin. The dude has been very, very solid for the Colts. And I think he's actually an ideal coverage fit for the Texans scheme. So we went ahead and grabbed him secondary help. So I think he's, like I said, the only other first round worthy corner in this class. And then we go to the Oakland Raiders. And this is tough because honestly, you could go anywhere. But linebacker has been their biggest hole. So I'm like, hey, let's take a shot at Devin White, man. The guy, he has flashed great potential, dude. He's, like I said, he's got big athletic upside. His athleticism's out the wazoo, some would say. And he has, at times, flashed elite play. Granted, that's next to Levante David there in Tampa. But I think he's worth taking a shot at this point. I mean, that's what, if you're the Raiders, you're kind of in the midst of kind of a rebuild. You have these 3 first-round picks. So let's go ahead. Let's address the position that, they've been struggling to get right. The Philadelphia Eagles. Oh my gosh, dude, this one was tough, and I really like if there's any pick in here that I would like. I probably should maybe go back and change it. It'd probably be this pick. But I mean, given the injuries this receiving core especially had in 2019, with Sean Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey. Like, especially the Sean Jackson one really hurt in 2019. He had a banger of a season opener, and then they were just missing their speedster. I mean, they were putting guys like J.J. Arceo-Whiteside out there before they were ready. Greg Ward. So let's go ahead. We're going to grab him a receiver, and we're going to grab a very similar receiver to Deshaun Jackson. We're going to grab Mecole Hardman. The guy, again, big speedster, could burn you down deep. So we're going to stick to that kind of philosophy here. He could help cushion the loss of Jackson and maybe be a long-term future replacement. And then the Indianapolis Colts. You know what? I'm going just best player on the board here in this pick, and it's actually Dexter Lawrence, man. I feel like he definitely should have been drafted much earlier than this. The thing was, when coming into the draft, like I at the time I thought it was a bit of a reach, just because coming into the draft I had concerns that he wasn't a 3-down player, and I'm willing to say, hey, I'm wrong on that, dude. I'm gonna be wrong. You learn from your mistakes. We all got good takes, we all got bad takes. But it means nothing if you don't learn from those mistakes. I like how I pronounce that. But I think he would fit great here for Indianapolis. And I mean, again, he would have gone a bit higher if it wasn't for basically some other players just outplaying where they were selected. And they're just at positions of more value as well. But Dexter Lawrence, man, this be solid. Maybe the Colts don't use a first rounder on Buckner. They could save that because now they have Lawrence. And then we are back to the Oakland Raiders, man. So, you know what? I'm just going to go Josh Jacobs. He's been the heart of this offense. I'm not big on drafting running backs in the first round, but you know what? I give them a pass if they have receiving upside in him. He was thrown in the slot quite a bit there at Alabama. So, I mean, with his ability and experience in the passing game, I'm willing to say, hey, let's go ahead. Let's grab him. So, nice haul. Brian Burns, Devin White, and Josh Jacobs all in the first round. The Los Angeles Chargers. They just need help on the line, on the offensive line. Unfortunately, I mean, Jawan Taylor might be the other guy I grab from the tackle class here. Maybe, Titus Howard, but he's really only a right tackle only. Dalton Reisner has been playing on the interior. Andre Diller, but the dude can't stay healthy. So we just went to the interior here, and I went with Elgin Jenkins. He's a guy that could play center. He could play guard. He's just been phenomenal wherever the Packers put him on the line. So we're going to stick with that here. And then the Seattle Seahawks. This is their second pick, right? Second pick, man. Let's try to get a banger of a pick here. They used this pick last time on LJ Collier. Hoping to develop this guy's athletic upside. I didn't even have a day 2 grade on him. When he got drafted, I was like, I didn't even have this guy in the first 3 rounds. Wow. Seattle. And who would have thought that would start a trend of Seattle reaching for prospects? We're not going to do that here, though. We're going to stick with edge. But I'm going to grab Max Crosby, man. I know that a lot of people love them, some Max Crosby. And he's a great player. He was a great player, man. He's a solid player. He just doesn't provide as much pressure as some of the other edges that I drafted before him in this class, but I definitely think he's worth a late first rounder, and he would help. He's going to be a long time starter wherever he ends up. He ended up in Las Vegas, but here in Seattle, he'd be a long time starter. Next, we got the Green Bay Packers. They went with Deontay Johnson, but they missed out on Darnell Savage with this second pick. But we're gonna stick it. We're gonna stick at the safety position. I loved Juan Thornhill. I think at one point I had him as my one. Darnell Savage ended up being my number 1 safety when my rankings came out right before the draft. But Thornhill, he was up there. He was in my top 3, I believe. But the guy's been phenomenal for Kansas City, and I think he's been good enough to definitely warrant a first round pick. So let's just go ahead. Let's grab Thornhill here. And then we have the lot. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not used to the Rams picking in the first round. This is a bit weird for me. So 2019, dude, that season was pretty rough for the offensive line for the Rams, especially the interior. So let's add some talent. Let's add some competition, because I do think Chris Lindstrom is worth a first round pick, dude. He's actually been, like, his play's been on par with guys like Jenkins and McCoy. So I got no problem using this pick on him. And I mean, he's just a really good fit for Sean McVay's outside zone blocking scheme. So bam, we go with that. New England Patriots, let's be honest, they're probably trading out of this pick. But I don't allow myself to do that. So where do we go here? And you know what? Gronk just retired. They have no real replacement for him. Well, let's address that hole right now. And I'm going to go, I was close to going with Irv Smith, but I went with Noah Fant, man. This guy, the biggest worry I had with him was drops. He cleaned a lot of that up in year 2. The guy's very good after the catch. So, bam, we got us Noah Fant for the Patriots. But looking back at this, I think this is very solid. I think no one really fell. You really see the talent at the top of this class. And then you have guys like Deontay Johnson. I think definitely worthy of first round pick. Jameel Dean jumping into the first. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of talent here that a guy ahead of Oliver, I would say, is still worth the top 10 pick. Goes to F14. But overall, I think this was a good job done. You'll let me know in the comments section. So, oh boy, I can't wait for that. That's going to be a blast. That's going to be a banger. But I can't wait to see people say Max Crosby went too low. Calm yourself. Commentate. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. It's always much appreciated, much obliged. And as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.